Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, March 11th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a very, very busy day. I was with members of Phi Beta Sigma and Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated today out at La Crêpe, out in Royal Oak. So had a good time out there. So on yesterday's show, we talked about the $1.9 trillion COVID bill, the American Rescue Plan, that passed the House of Representatives. We know it passed the Senate, went back to the House, and it passed the House. And I was breaking down some of what's in the bill. Okay. And I talked about $5 billion that's in the bill that's targeted towards African-American farmers. There's $10.4 billion earmarked for the nation's farmers, and half of that is going to African-American farmers. There's a good article from thegrio.com written by April Ryan that talks about this, and also there was a article from March 8th, 2021, from the Washington Post that talks about this as well, and we discussed this on the show yesterday. The article from the Washington Post is entitled "Relief Bill is Most Significant Legislation for Black Farmers Since Civil Rights Act," experts say. Relief bill is the most significant legislation for Black farmers since Civil Rights Act, experts says. So this is from March 8th. This is for March 8th, from March 8th, 2021. Okay. And so we talked about this yesterday. And in one of the articles, the article from April Ryan for the Grio, it talked about heirs property. Heirs property. And heirs property is one of the ways that our land historically was stolen away from us. Okay. And I said we would talk some about heirs property on today's show because a lot of people don't know about this history. It wasn't just domestic terrorism. That was a way that our land was stolen away from us, being ran off our land, white supremacists running us off our land. It wasn't just the Ku Klux Klan. It may have been the Knights of the White Camellia or the Black Legion. The Black Legion was actually the domestic terrorist organization that burned down, that really ran Malcolm X's family, Malcolm Little, out of Omaha, Nebraska, and set their house on fire. Attacked their house and set their house on fire. A lot of people think it was the Ku Klux Klan. It was actually the Black Legion. The Black Legion, Legion. But there were various ways using laws that our land was stolen away from us. Heirs property, HEIRS, heirs property was one of them, but also overtaxing the property taxes on our land, on our farms, was another way to take the land away from us. So then when you can't pay the exorbitant property taxes, your house is foreclosed on, your house or your farm and your house, because your house is on the farmland, is taken away from you. So we're going to talk some about that. Now, what's interesting is that, a few weeks ago, we talked about the Justice for Black Farmers Act, the Justice for Black Farmers Act. And that was part of this $1.9 trillion bill. Okay, the Justice for Black Farmers Act. And that was sponsored by Reverend Raphael Warnock out of Georgia. Now, what's interesting when we look at this is I talked about some backlash from Senator Lindsey Graham that this allocation of funds for black farmers is getting out of $1.9 trillion, $5 billion going to African American farmers. But there's a history behind it. There's a history of discrimination coming from the U.S. Department of Agriculture that has robbed African American farmers of their homes and locked them out of getting loans and things like this, government loans. Okay. So in preparing for today's show, I came across this article here from Fox News. Now, this is from March 11th, 2021. Farmers react to billions in COVID-19 relief bill for black farmers. Where did common sense go? Quote unquote, where did common sense go? The USDA has faced accusations of discrimination for years, which is true. And there's been a lawsuit, 1999 lawsuit in 1999, because the African American farmers were alleging discrimination when it came to getting loans. Now, if we look quickly here at this article, it talks about how the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package that President Joe Biden is set to sign, and he has signed it now after this article, includes billions of dollars in debt relief and other assistance for farmers of color. But the incorporation of race-based criteria for that relief is leaving other farmers scratching their heads. Just because you're a certain color, you don't have to pay back money. I don't care if you're purple, black, yellow, white, or gray. If you borrow money, you have to pay it back, said Kelly Griggs, who runs her 1,800-acre farm with her husband in Humboldt, Tennessee. She told this to Fox News in an interview. My reaction is, where did common sense go? Griggs said. We can't strike. We can't stop. That's the part that really sucks. These people in Washington who make decisions for us and our livelihood have probably never stepped foot on a real farm. Now, the relief package includes an estimated $4 billion to pay up to 120% of Black, Hispanic, Asian, or Native American farmers' outstanding debt as of January 1st, according to the American Farm Bureau Federation. Now, the package also designates about $1 billion for equity commissions, agricultural training, improved land access, and other assistance to advance racial justice in farming. John Wesley Boyd Jr., president of the National Black Farmers Association, who we talked about on yesterday's show, he was interviewed by April Ryan for thegrio.com. We'll go to that article in just a second, just to refresh your memory here. John Wesley Boyd Jr. correctly stated, because a lot of these people are ignorant of history, quote, by denying or delaying Black farmers the same loans, subsidies, and other payments made to white farmers, USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, engaged in systematic racism that led to a dramatic decline in the number of Black farmers. This is not in dispute, John Boyd told Fox News in a statement before the House of Representatives passed the relief package on Wednesday, March 10th. Black farmers accounted for approximately 1/6 of farmers in 1920, but less than 2% of farms were ran by Black producers by the year 2017, okay, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now, the USDA has faced accusations of discrimination for years, rightfully so. The class action Pigford lawsuit that the government settled in 1999 for $1.25 billion was supposed to help farmers who claimed they were unfairly denied loans and other government assistance. Representative Sam Graves, Republican of Missouri, took issue with racial justice in agricultural provisions agriculture provisions contemplated in the bill. Quote, what happened to equal protection under the law? This is wrong and un-American. I'm sure there are a lot of Americans out there that would love to have our tax dollars pay off their debts. This is targeted to a very select few. Well, it's targeted to the ones that were injured. It's targeted to the ones that were injured by the discriminatory policies of the U.S. federal government. Okay, so check out the rest of this article here. Farmers react to billions in COVID-19 relief bill for black farmers. Where did common sense go? See, they didn't want to deal with white supremacy and racism and the harm that these policies did to African-American farmers. Now, this is the same thing that I've said dealing with reparations. These are the same dumbasses that you're going to have to deal with in Washington, D.C., trying to get reparations passed. This is $5 billion. What happens when you try to get a bill passed for 27 trillion or 14 trillion or whatever number you came up with this week? See, we don't understand how to navigate through this. This is what I'm explaining to people. We don't understand how to navigate through this. This is $5 billion of a $1.9 trillion bill. And people are having a problem with it. Keep in mind the $1.9 trillion bill of the American Rescue Plan, and it's going to help a lot of white people. Not a single Republican voted for the bill. If not a single Republican in the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate voted for the American Rescue Plan, that's going to help a lot of white people, and it's a $1.9 trillion bill, how many of these Republicans you think going to vote for a reparations bill? I'm just asking you a logical question that nobody wants to deal with. We'll break all this down on the other side of the break, and we'll deal with heirs property, because this ties into a article I've talked about in the past, dealing with how African Americans have lost an untold number of acres of land, and it ties into heirs property. We'll break all this down on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
We all know the cannabis industry is headed toward an uprise in the past decade. What happens when there is a brand that brings this uprise in a blow? The cannabis industry welcomes her uprise. Hustle her hemp. Delivering excellence with pride is her watchword, and how you choose to embrace it makes it a priority. From cultivating rich cannabis into exquisite and tastefully finished CBD products to delivery, Hustle Her Hemp leaves no stone unturned. Hustle Her Hemp's mission is to empower women of color by building business and creating legacies, uniting beauty, health, and business. We are a pure definition of how we want the CBD industry to become in the future. While we are redefining innovation, we bring the same energy to improving the quality of life. Hustle Her Hemp is the new uprise.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Comedicwear.com is the go-to online source for Comedic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Comedicwear.com is inspired by ComedicScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at ComedicWear.com.
Hi, I'm Joel Wilson, President and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting LLC, a technology implementation firm with over 20 years of satisfying customers. We offer a full spectrum of industry top-tier branded services. We are an authorized partner or reseller for Lenovo, Zoom, T-Mobile, Microsoft 365 and Surface tablets, Google Workspace, Acer, Asus, Samsung, PC-Matic security software, and many more. Our online store features laptops, Chromebooks, computers, printers, accessories, and software. Businesses, take advantage of our free 1-hour Zoom tech consultation and know we offer top nationwide high-speed internet service providers, voice over IP, and cellular phone services. Home users, don't miss our current in-stock Chromebook inventory. Please visit us at jcwcc.com or call 215-879-6701.
Digital Dandelion's Technical Solutions works with businesses like yours to create an operations manual for your business, which is something many businesses don't have. According to AARP, more than 30% of small business owners are over 50 years old. Many business owners want to retire by selling their businesses or by passing their businesses on to their children. However, according to Forbes Investment Advisors, many retiring owners' attempts to sell their businesses for retirement fail. You cannot sell your business without a business manual. Your children also cannot inherit your business because there is no way to run it. Your business does not have to die when you leave. Their business Bible products will give you the tools you need for a thriving business that can make you money even after you retire. Are you looking at increasing your business's annual revenue? Digital Dandelions can help you make at least $100,000 in annual revenue and expand your business. Speak with them today about solidifying your business. Visit digitaldandelions.com today and get a free 30-minute consultation. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, March 11th, 2021, and we're live. Hope everybody's doing well. If you like this type of information, you can also support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay, so right before the break, I was talking about a portion of the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that is targeted toward African American farmers. And a lot of people don't know about this, but some Republicans are complaining about it. And no Republicans voted for this bill to even help white people out. The $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. No Republicans voted for this bill to even help white people out. So if we look at, if we go and look at the article from yesterday that we talked about from thegrio.com, Black farmers to receive $5 billion in COVID relief. In COVID relief bill. This is by April Ryan. Black farmers to receive $5 billion in COVID relief bill. I said we would do a deeper dive into this on today's show and deal with something called Heirs Property. That was one of the ways that our land was stolen away from us. Okay, so in this article, it talked about Senator Lindsey Graham, President Joe Biden's allocation of $5 billion in the American Rescue Plan has Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, upset. Now, South Carolina is where the Civil War started, April 12, 1861. South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union. So these have some of the biggest white supremacists in them and some of the biggest Confederate flag wavers, South Carolina. Well, the more accurate term for his anger is that he is having a temper tantrum about the sum of money earmarked for black farmers to help them survive. Overall, $10.4 billion is earmarked for the nation's farmers, and half of that is going to black farmers. John Boyd, head of the National Black Farmers Association, says those billions are needed to help sustain and revive a dying industry. He said, we're quite frankly faced with extinction if we can't get a new generation of young people involved in agriculture and farming, blacks and other farmers of color into farming. You won't see it. Okay. Now, counting the number of black farmers in this nation currently, John Wesley Boyd Jr. says 46,000 black farmers are left in this country, according to the U.S. Census. He said we're down from 1 million farm families at the turn of the century, and we were killing 20 million acres of land. We own about close to 20 million acres of land. We're down to about 4.5 million acres of land today that African Americans own. Now, while Senator Graham is vocal about his displeasure for earmarking for the earmark, and Lindsey Graham called it reparations for black farmers, John Hope Bryant, the founder and head of Operation Hope, says this is a long time in coming and over 400 years past due. All right, read the rest of this article here. We talked about this yesterday. Now, I want to do a deeper dive into what's in how this impacts African American farmers. Then I want to talk about heirs property. Okay, so when we look at this article from March 8th from the Washington Post, and I've heard very, very few people talk about it, especially the naysayers and the people who said don't vote for Joe Biden and all this stuff. I don't know what the hell they want you to do. Some of them want you to vote for Donald Trump, which is ridiculous. That's suicide. But a lot of these people aren't even talking about this. But a lot of them don't know about it because they don't read. That's the other thing. This goes through and deals with history. $5 billion would go to farmers of color who have lost 90% of their land over the past century because of systemic discrimination and a cycle of debts. Systemic discrimination and a cycle of debt. So the naysayers, the Republicans, white farmers, etc., Lindsey Graham, they don't want to address the historical racism that has decimated African American farmers. A little known element of President Joe Biden's massive stimulus relief package would pay billions of dollars to disadvantaged farmers, benefiting black farmers in a way that some experts say no legislation has done since the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Of the $10.4 billion in the American Rescue Plan that will support agriculture, approximately half go to disadvantaged farmers, according to estimates from the Farm Bureau, an industry organization. Now, about a quarter of disadvantaged black farmers, about a quarter of disadvantaged farmers are black, I should say. About a quarter of disadvantaged farmers are black. The money would provide debt relief as well as grants, training, education, and other forms of assistance aimed at acquiring land. While it's a fraction of the $1.9 trillion bill that passed the Senate on Saturday, advocates say it still represents a step toward righting a wrong after a century of mistreatment of black farmers by the government and others. After a century of mistreatment by black farmers by the government and others. Some say it is a form of reparations for African Americans who have suffered a long history of racial oppression. No, that's not reparations. No, it's not. That's going to about 45,000, 46,000 African American farmers. There's 49 million African Americans in this country. No, that's not reparations. The African American farmers deserve this. Nobody wants to deal with a century of mistreatment and discriminatory laws against them. Nobody wants to talk about that. Now, this is the most significant piece of legislation with respect to black land ownership in this country, that Tracy Lloyd McCurdy, executive director of the Black Belt Justice Center, which provides legal representation to black farmers. Black farmers in America have lost more than 12 million acres of farmland over the past century, mostly since the 1950s, as a result of what agricultural experts and advocates for black farmers say is a combination of systemic racism, biased government policy, and social and business practices that have denied African Americans equitable access to markets. Now, keep in mind, racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Racism occurs when one race of people control the majority of the wealth, power, resources, benefits, privileges, land, access to education, access to opportunity, hold political power to write laws, hold a political office to write laws and policies like the ones that discriminated against the African American farmers in the first place. Okay, and so politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. So this is what we're dealing with here. If we look at page 72 of How White Folks Got So Rich, the Untold Story of American White Supremacy. And if you don't like this source, there are other sources you can look at. On page 72 of the third edition, they talk about the Farmers Home Administration. The Farmers Home Administration. Okay. And let me pull up this put this title here. All right. And the calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. So they're talking about 1930 and the creation of the Farmers Home Administration. Now, the Farmers Home Administration is a government entity. And I'll try to pull up some additional information on this. Now, this is during the Great Depression. And you're going to have these agents, you're going to have this agency created to provide loans for white farmers so they can pay the mortgages on their farms and pay their work hands and things like this so they don't lose their farms. Okay. Farmers Home Administration. At the end of legal slavery in 1865, African Americans were concentrated in the agricultural sector of America. You know, up until 1900, 90% of African Americans lived in the South. Okay, and that's a legacy of slavery. It wasn't because we like the heat. That was a legacy of slavery. This is before the Great Migration, which starts about 1915. Now they were more likely than whites to own farms, though they held less acreage and had poor quality tracts of land. Despite this, the Farmers Home Administration, FHA, okay, was set up in 1930 to give loans and subsidies to white farmers to sustain and maintain their operations. To achieve this unstated racist purpose, the Farmers Home Administration allowed local whites to operate the program, and they, not the federal government, decided who would get those critical benefits. So they pushed the federal government pushed the resources down to the state level, and people at the state level allocated the resources, which allowed a lot of discrimination to take place in a lot of these southern states. All right. Now, as a result, Black-owned farms, unable to compete with the well-subsidized and well-financed white farms, fell dramatically from 900,000 Black-owned farms in 1930 to 682,000 Black-owned farms in 1939. This is during the Great Depression. Just from 1930 to 1939, we lose over 200,000 African-American farms, lose millions of acres of land. Now, many of the whites used the government money to modernize their farms by buying tractors and evicting Black sharecroppers. Congress amended the law to say that half of the money should go to those tenant farmers, but the white landlords simply stole the farmers' payments, claiming, if asked, that debts were owed. Okay, that debts were owed. Okay, now by 1964, a study found that every program administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA, was rife with racial discrimination. The federal loans from the USDA were used by local white administrators to retaliate against Black farmers for their support of civil rights efforts or for simply voting or attempting to vote. Now, they go on to say, and what I'm going to do, let's see here, Jenna, I'm going to send you this. I'm going to send you this clip here of I'm going to send you this clip here of Dr. King. Okay, this is Dr. King in 1968 in Mississippi, talking about what happened after the Civil War, and how African Americans were locked out of massive land giveaways. But then he also talks about how white farmers were given loans by the federal government to mechanize their farms. Okay, so let's see here. Let me send this clip to you. All right, I just sent it to you. Just cue that clip up. It's only a couple minutes. We'll go to the phone lines in just a minute here. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. Okay. So Dr. King at a church in Mississippi in 1968, just a few months before he was assassinated, was talking about what happened after the Civil War. And he's talking about the maldistribution of wealth, power, and resources. Okay, let's go to this clip.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they're the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Okay, pause it right there. Okay, so you got white farmers today receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm. And they're the very people complaining about African American farmers being allocated in this $1.9 trillion bill, $5 billion to deal with 100 years of racism and discrimination when it comes to farming and getting loans from the federal government. So once again, read this article here from Fox News. Farmers react to billions in COVID-19 relief bill for black farmers. Where did common sense go? Well, where was your common sense 100 years ago when you discriminated against African American farmers, which caused us to lose millions of acres of farmland? Where was common sense then? Okay, now let's flip over and go to well, look, let's go to the phone lines quickly. Let's go to John, line 1. John, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for holding. Tell us where you're calling from, John.
Well, I'm calling from the east side of Detroit, Michigan, folks. Thank you for taking my call.
All right, go ahead. Thanks.
In Chicago, they're talking about now giving the African American between $25,000 and $30,000 each family, number $25,000 $30,000. What? That ain't no money at all.
Well, that's the words. Well, hold on, John, can you hear me? Hold on. We talked about that. We talked about in depth on Sunday night show. That is towards that's in Evanston, Illinois, and that's to go towards purchasing a home. Is to go towards purchasing a home because African Americans were historically discriminated against from getting low interest loans from the federal government to buy homes. And that's one of the main ways that you accumulate wealth in this country. They're putting a 3% tax on legal marijuana sales in Evanston, Illinois, to generate this fund of $10 million to be able to allocate this money, $25,000, to be able to allocate this to help African Americans buy homes. That's what that's for. It's dealing with a legacy of redlining. It's not reparations for slavery. Right. It's dealing with a legacy of redlining, okay, which was created by the federal government, which comes from the Homeowners Loan Corporation, which was a government entity created in 1933. And redlining was a process that was used to discriminate against getting bank loans and insurance for homeowners insurance, but also insurance for businesses. So that's what that is about.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for calling, John. Keep listening. All right. So let's go back to this article here. Relief bill is most significant legislation for Black farmers since Civil Rights Act, experts say. And we're going to re-air our Sunday night show. I had to go through and edit it. I haven't had a chance to edit it yet. Our Sunday night show was deep. It's at our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. But I need to go through and edit it and put our captions in. But I went in depth into what's taking place in Evanston, Illinois. Okay. Because that's the type of research we do here. Okay. We don't do all this celebrity based Simple Simon ass nonsense stuff that some people want to do. But if you want to do that, go ahead. If that's your claim to fame. But we have real work to do. Somebody asked for the name of this book. You've heard me mention it before. It's on my recommended reading list of books at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. How White Folks Got So Rich, The Untold Story of American White Supremacy. This is the third edition. I have all three editions, read all three of them. How White Folks Got So Rich, The Untold Story of American White Supremacy. Okay. But if you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and right on the homepage at the top, click on book lists. I have a recommended reading list of about 70 books there. Okay. Now, let's see here. Okay, so let's go back to this. I want to go where I left off. Black farmers in America have lost more than 12 million acres of farmland over the past century, mostly since the 1950s, a result of what agricultural experts and advocates for Black farmers say is a combination of systemic racism, biased government policy, and social and business practices that have denied African Americans equitable access to markets. Now, let's go back to, because a lot of people don't want to talk about this because a lot of people don't read READ. But let's go back to January 20th, 2021. So we know Joe Biden signed into law the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that no Republicans voted for, neither in the House or the Senate. January 20th was Inauguration Day. Joe Biden signed 10 executive orders on January 20th, 2021, Inauguration Day. That was a half day of work. Because, he was sworn in 12 noon, right? It was like a half day of work. This is one of the executive orders that Joe Biden signed on day one. Very few people talk about this. I'm not sure why. Very few people talk about this. Executive order on advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. Because a lot of these executive orders and policies we've been talking about here. So it goes through and it talks about how equal opportunity is the bedrock of American democracy. But it talks about dealing with systemic racism. Okay? It talks about dealing with systemic racism. Our country faces converging economic, health, and climate crisis, that have exposed and exacerbated inequities, while a historic movement for injustice has highlighted the unbearable human cost of systemic racism. Our nation deserves an ambitious whole of government equity agenda that matches the scale of the opportunities and challenges that we face. Let me see here. Okay. Now, read this executive order. There was one, and I think there was another one. It actually has one dealing with redlining also in the federal government. But the one of the things that one of the executive orders is calling for, is actually doing, is a review of the various policies from the different departments of the government to see how various policies contributed to systemic racism, so they understand what to correct. This was day one, just so people who are confused, don't know, go read this one. You can read all executive orders at whitehouse.gov, official website of the White House, whitehouse.gov. Okay. All right. Now, so dealing with systemic racism in policies in government ties into this portion of the $1.9 trillion coronavirus bill. Discrimination started a century ago with a series of federal homestead acts that offered mainly white settlers deeply subsidized land that Dr. King talked about in that excerpt I just played. This deals with the Homestead Act of 1862 during the Civil War and the Southern Homestead Act of 1866. But for good measure, we could then throw in the Dawes Alignment Act of 1887 that reallocated 138 million square acres of land. And it was largely supposed to go to African Americans and Native Americans, Black Indians, things like that. 2/3 went to white people. But the Homestead Act of 1860, that redistributed about 245 million acres of land, but about 250 million acres of land. The Homestead Act, largely almost exclusively to white people. Okay. And they had to take care of the land. They were allocated about 160 acres of land. They had to take care of the land for 5 years, pay the taxes on it, and then the land's theirs. And then you had a Southern Homestead Act of 1866 that allocated 46 million acres of land in 5 southern states as well. And we were almost exclusively locked out of that land giveaway as well. This is what Dr. King was talking about when he talked about these massive land giveaways. So discrimination started a century ago with a series of federal homestead acts that offered mainly white settlers deeply subsidized land. Since then, local U.S. Department of Agriculture offices charged with distributing loans have frequently been found to deny Black farmers access to credit, and to ignore or delay loan applications. Many African American farmers don't have a clear title to their land, which makes them ineligible for certain USDA loans to purchase livestock or cover the cost of planting. And they have seldom benefited from subsidy payments or trade mitigation compensation. Almost all of President Donald Trump, I don't want to call him president, Trader-in-Chief Benedict Donald, almost all of Benedict Donald's $28 billion bailout for white farmers, his $28 billion bailout for white farmers, for those affected by the China trade war that he started, almost all of that went to white farmers. Now, the white farmers, they got the $28 billion bailout from Benedict Donald. And a lot of these white farmers that are complaining right now about a $5 billion allocation to deal with 100 years of discrimination from the USDA. Why aren't they complaining about the $28 billion that they got of taxpayer dollars for what Donald Trump started? Why aren't they complaining about that? Today, the average farm operated by an African American is about 100 acres compared with the national average of about 440 acres, according to the last farm census. The Center for American Progress found that in 2017, the average full-time white farmer brought in $17,190 in farm income, while the average full-time black farmer made just $2,408. And you got the nerve to ask, where's common sense? No, where the dollars? Where them dollars at? You don't want to deal with a history of white supremacy and racism. And then when we try to correct it, when we try to address structural inequities, now you want to complain. Let's go to this other thing, man. Let's go to Heirs Property, and I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Read this other article here from. Now I've talked about this because I've done broadcasts in the past few years dealing with African American soybean farmers who are suing the Stein Seed Company because they alleged they were sold. They alleged they were sold seeds, basically defective seeds from the Stein Seed Company. Stein Seed Company says that's not true, of course, but we'll deal with that in another presentation. Lastly, let's go to this here. This is from thenation.com, and also AtlantaBlackStar.com had a big article dealing with this as well. And let me see if we could pull this up from AtlantaBlackStar.com. Yeah. This deals with the history of African Americans losing farmland. A history of African Americans losing farmland. And let's just go, for the sake of time, let's go look at the article here from AtlantaBlackStar.com. See, a couple nights ago, what was it, Sunday? I said I can't go see slave movies in the theater. You don't want me to do that? You'll see me at 11 o'clock news. It's stuff like this. This is why I can't go see slave movies in the theater, because I will snap. Okay, let's go. All right, now this is from AtlantaBlackStar.com. I talked about this article when it came out a few years ago. Okay, let's look at this article here. From 15 million acres to 1 million acres. From 15 million acres to 1 million acres. How black people lost their land. How black people lost their land. All right, now this is an article from AtlantaBlackStar.com, June 30th, 2017. At its height, black land ownership was impressive. At the turn of the 20th century, formerly enslaved black people and their heirs owned 15 million acres of land, primarily in the South, mostly used for farming. In 1920, the 925,000 African-American farms represented 14% of the farms in America. Sadly, things turned for the worse as 600,000 black farmers were forced off their land, with only 45,000 black farmers remaining in 1975. Now, blacks are only 1% of rural landowners in the U.S. and under 2% of farmers. Okay, so let me go down to Heirs Property. Okay, so they talk about this one person whose grandfather owned land, but they say they're dealing with Heirs Property. Okay. And those listening on that, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, we're going to keep broadcasting on our Facebook page and YouTube channel while the time here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Right now, it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. We're kind of forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. Okay, let's continue here. Land is among the most important assets people can own, certainly for the rural society in which many African Americans traditionally have lived. Land represented prosperity, intergenerational wealth, family, and community. according to the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, land can be, quote, a vital part of cultural and social identities, a valuable asset to stimulate economic growth, and a central component to preserving natural resources and building societies that are inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. It's more about land as a home. It's about economics and culture all rolled up into one, said Jeannie L. Stevens, executive director of the Center for Heirs Property Preservation, based in Charleston, South Carolina. The organization serves 15 counties and Palmetto State, including the Low Country, where the Gullah Geechee have struggled to hold on to their ancestral homelands on the sealands in the face of development, gentrification, and corporate intrusion. For generations, families have had the land procured through the blood, sweat, and tears of their ancestors until many are forced to sell it. Okay, like so we have the Gullah Geechee. They're in South. We have them in South Carolina. Okay, and this is dealing with coastal land. Now, keep in mind when you talk about 40 acres and a mule, Special Field Order number 15. Special Field Order number 15 was dealing with coastal land in Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. It was dealing with coastal land in Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. All right. Okay. Now, the Center for Sustainable Land, the Center for Sustainable Land Use, to help historically underserved families realize the wealth building asset of their land and prevents heirs property owners from losing their land. Under the concept of heirs property, a form of communal land ownership found among rural communities of the South, both black and white, numerous heirs of the original landowner are co-owners of the land, each owning a percentage share. Okay, numerous heirs of the original landowner are co-owners of the land, each owning a percentage share. They may be 20, 30, 40 or more people scattered around the country, and in some cases have never visited the land and may not even know they are co-owners of the land. Okay, so you may not know that they're multiple owners of this land. The problem arises when corporations and developers entice family members to sell their share of the land, becoming family members themselves and forcing a partition sale, a court-mandated auction sale of the land, all without notice to the other family members. This is one of the heirs property law is one of the main ways that we have lost a lot of this land in the South. And not understanding the law, maybe not having the proper deeds to the land, things like this. This is one of the main ways this land has been sold from underneath our noses, sold from underneath our feet. Okay, let's continue here. Let me go back to this. All right. So this is dealing with heirs property. They may be 20, 30, 40 or more people scattered around the country, and in some cases have never visited the land and may not even know they are co-owners of the land. The problem arises when corporations and developers entice family members to sell their share of the land, becoming family members themselves and forcing a partition sale, a court-mandated auction sale of the land, all without notice to the other family members. It is a real issue, said Tish Lynn, Lynn, Director of Communications at the Center for Heirs Property Preservation. Lynn said that across the Southeast and throughout the country, land has been in the hands of African American families through heirs titles. Heirs titles, H-E-I-R-S apostrophe, heirs titles, passed from generation to generation, okay, without a clear title to the land, which goes back to the article here from the Washington Post that talked about how there may not be a clear title or deed to the land. Okay, you go back and look at this one here from the Washington Post. All this is tied together, and this ties into understanding law. Okay, this ties into understanding law. These laws are created by politicians. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Many black farmers don't have clear title to their land, which makes them ineligible for certain USDA loans to purchase livestock or cover the cost of planting, and they have seldom benefited from subsidy payments or trade mitigation compensation, like the white farmers that were compensated by $28 billion bailout of taxpayer dollars for Donald Trump's China trade war. Okay, so this is dealing with not having clear title to their land, African American farmers. Okay, so let's go back over to the one from AtlantaBlackStar.com. Okay, Lynn said that across the South and throughout the country, land has been in the hands of African American families through heirs titles passed from generation to generation without a clear title to the land. Rather, land was passed through oral tradition without access to the judicial system or the ability to hire a lawyer. Although heirs property is a rural characteristic rather than a racial one, for Black people who have had more than their share of exploitation, the suffering is compounded. The suffering is compounded. Quote, I talk about it as an injustice. We call it legalized theft. We call it legalized theft. We're trying to level the playing field by clearing the title, Tish Lynn said. Okay. Jenny Stevens noted that while the issue of land loss is not new, it is receiving more attention these days. Now, this article is from 2017. Indigenous Black landowners now find themselves grappling with the same land loss issues facing Native Americans. Indigenous Black landowners now find themselves grappling with the same land loss issues facing Native Americans. Once thought to be the most unproductive land, now everyone wants to live in the Sealands area. This is because of gentrification. Tish Lynn calls the Charleston coastal area a magnet with, quote, 40 new people coming every day and the attraction of industry, Boeing, Volvo, and the desirability of living here has logarithm. Okay, it's logarithm. Okay, increase the pressure of development. Okay, logarithmically. Hurricane Hugo helped shine a light on issues facing the coast as forests amid their heirs properties were destroyed. Okay, Hurricane Hugo helped shine a light on issues facing the coast as forests amid their heirs properties were destroyed. With few laws on the books to protect landowners, With few laws on the books to protect landowners, it is easily lost and families torn apart. Read the rest of this article here because I don't have time to get into this. But this is a deep, now they picked up this article from TheNation.com. This is from June 30th, 2017 from AtlantaBlackStar.com. I talked about this when it came out. This is written by David A. Love for AtlantaBlackStar.com. He also writes for News1.com. From 15 million acres to 1 million, how black people lost their land. Okay. Then go read this here because I had a subscription to The Nation and it expired. I guess they want me to renew the damn subscription. I don't have time for all these. I really don't have time for all these subscriptions. But go read this one. This was the big article from TheNation.com. African Americans have lost untold acres of land over the last century. African Americans have lost untold acres of land over the last century. An obscure legal loophole is often to blame. The obscure legal loophole is heirs property. Now, this article is by Leah Douglas, June 26, 2017. That was a source article from the one from AtlantaBlackStar.com, which was from June 30th, 2017. Okay, so go read these. And then this ties into the $5 billion allocated in the $1.9 trillion bill, American Rescue Plan, that's going to African American farmers. This ties into that. And that deals with the Justice for Black Farmers Act. The Justice for Black Farmers Act, co-sponsored by Reverend Raphael Warnock and Senator Cory Booker.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business, know your numbers, and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business, encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. Blackbusinesstee.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com. For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid El Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com.
Digital Dandelion's Technical Solutions works with businesses like yours to create an operations manual for your business, which is something many businesses don't have. According to AARP, more than 30% of small business owners are over 50 years old. Many business owners want to retire by selling their businesses or by passing their businesses on to their children. However, according to Forbes Investment Advisors, many retiring owners' attempts to sell businesses for retirement fail. You cannot sell your business without a business manual. Your children also cannot inherit your business because there is no way to run it. Your business does not have to die when you leave. Their business Bible products will give you the tools you need for a thriving business that can make you money even after you retire. Are you looking at increasing your business's annual revenue? Digital Dandelions can help you make at least $100,000 in annual revenue and expand your business. Speak with them today about solidifying your business. Visit digitaldandelions.com today and get a free 30-minute consultation.
We all know the cannabis industry is headed toward an uprise in the past decade. What happens when there is a brand that brings this uprise in a blow? The cannabis industry welcomes her uprise. Hustle her hemp. Delivering excellence with pride is her watchword, and how you choose to embrace it makes it a priority. From cultivating rich cannabis into exquisite and tastefully finished CBD products to delivery, Hustle Her Hemp leaves no stone unturned. Hustle Her Hemp's mission is to empower women of color by building business and creating legacies, uniting beauty, health, and business. We are a pure definition of how we want the CBD industry to become in the future. While we are redefining innovation, we bring the same energy to improving the quality of life. Hustle Her Hemp is the new uprise.
All right, now we'll talk about this some more on tomorrow's show. So we know that President Joe Biden gave a address today, his first national address as president, and this deals with the $1.9 trillion coronavirus bill. Okay. This is, I should say, back up. First primetime address. His first primetime address as president. Now he's going to do a victory tour, which is extremely important because President Obama did not do a victory tour after the stimulus, after they passed the $800 billion stimulus plan early on, and Joe Biden is saying that he learned from that mistake because you have to explain to the American people what is in the bill, how it's benefiting them, and especially in this case, who actually voted for the bill, because not a single Republican in the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate voted for the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. That is going to help a lot of their white constituents. Okay. Now, on the readout with Joanne Reed, she talked about this on Thursday, March 11th. Biden administration to take victory lap to sell COVID relief package. Okay, let's go to this clip.
Help is on the way. Now that the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan has been signed, Americans can expect some relief and some money in their accounts as early as this weekend. Here's President Biden moments before signing the bill.
This historic legislation is about rebuilding the backbone of this country and giving people in this nation, working people, middle-class folks, people who built the country, a fighting chance. That's what the essence of it is.
Biden has vowed not to repeat the mistake President Obama made back in 2009 when the administration did not get out and sell the benefits of its own economic recovery plan. So much of the public was just left not fully informed about the benefits.
Barack was so modest, he didn't want to take, as he said, a victory lap. I kept saying, tell people what we did. So we don't have time. I'm not going to take a victory lap. And we paid a price for it, ironically, for that humility. Each piece isn't just defensible, it is urgent and overwhelmingly supported by the people. It's good policy and it's good politics.
Well, with that in mind, the White House has planned an aggressive marketing push to tout the specific benefits, state by state, of the already popular and transformative package. It begins with Biden's address to the nation coming up at the top of the hour, followed by a national tour next week with administration officials crisscrossing the country. President Biden and Vice President Harris will end the tour in Atlanta, which, just let's be clear, made this bill possible by electing 2 Democratic senators in January. So it's fitting that it will be the choice for their first joint event outside of Washington since the inauguration. Friendly reminder, 0 Republicans supported this wildly popular bill, but that didn't stop them from trying to take credit for some of it. Hours after passage, Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker was promoting a portion of the bill that sends cash to restaurants. Fittingly enough, he left out the part about him actually voting against it.
Right.
And if that wasn't bad enough, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell tried to plant the Republican flag on the country's recovery.
Senate Republicans led the bipartisan CARES Act that got our country through the last year. The American people already built a parade that's been marching toward victory. Democrats just want to sprint in front of the parade and claim credit.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi had a good word for the Republicans who are playing hanger-on.
It's remarkable legislation. Unfortunately, Republicans, as I say, vote no and take the dough. You see already some of them claiming, oh, this is a good thing or that's a good thing, but they couldn't give it a vote. But anyway, enough of them.
Joining me now is Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. Vote no and take the dough. President Biden probably better than anyone in the United States Senate. What do you expect his demeanor to be like tonight? I mean, he said, that they made a mistake in 2009 when they didn't get out there and toot their own horn. Is he going to do a little bit of that tonight, you think?
Well, Joy, since Joe Biden won the election to become our president, he has been relentlessly focused on getting us out of this pandemic, on relieving the burdens on middle Americans, and on moving us forward. I think he will be somber as we reflect on what the 1-year anniversary means of this pandemic, what it means to have lost 530,000 Americans. But I also think he'll be hopeful because we are now clearly on a path towards getting out of this pandemic and towards recovery. This $1.9 trillion bill that he just signed into law is truly a big deal. And it's going to deliver relief to 100 million American families in the means of direct stimulus checks. It's going to be the biggest anti-poverty program in decades by expanding the child tax credit. And it's going to put money into the Veterans Administration, into helping people stay in their homes or apartments, into safely reopening schools, into more small business lending. Joy, this bill is going to do a lot of good. And Joe Biden ran for president so he could help the American middle class and help get us out of the mess that Donald Trump got us into. I expect him to really give us a clear shot of hope about our future.
And not a single Republican, including Lion, the Grim Reaper, Moscow Mitch McConnell, not a single one of them voted for this bill in the House or the Senate, including the Grim Reaper, Moscow Mitch McConnell. But he voted for Donald Trump's 1.7, almost $1.9 trillion tax cut back in 2017. He voted for that, but he didn't vote for this. All right, now, so Joe Biden spoke. He gave a primetime address, his first primetime address as president today, and to talk about him signing the COVID relief bill, to talk about a host of things, and speeding up the pace of vaccinations and everything. Biden directs states to make all adults eligible for COVID vaccinations by May 1st. I want to go to a portion of his address here, and he shared other plans for pandemic recovery. Okay, we'll get this queued up here. This is from March 11th, 2021, from MSNBC. All right, stand by.
I want to talk about the next steps we're thinking about. First, tonight, I'm announcing that I will direct all states, tribes, and territories to make all adults, people 18 and over, eligible to be vaccinated no later than May 1. Let me say that again. All adult Americans will be eligible to get a vaccine no later than May 1. That's much earlier than expected. Let me be clear. That doesn't mean everyone's going to have that shot immediately, but it means you'll be able to get in line beginning May 1. Every adult will be eligible to get their shot. To do this, We're going to go from 1 million shots a day that I promised in December before I was sworn in to beating our current pace of 2 million shots a day, outpacing the rest of the world. Secondly, at the time when every adult is eligible in May, we will launch with our partners new tools to make it easier for you to find the vaccine and where to get the shot, including a new website that will help you first find the place to get vaccinated and the one nearest you. No more searching day and night for an appointment for you and your loved ones. Thirdly, with the passage of the American Rescue Plan, and I thank again the House and Senate for passing it, and my announcement last month of a plan to vaccinate teachers and school staff, including bus drivers, we can accelerate massive nationwide effort to reopen our schools safely and meet my goal that I stated at the same time, about 100 million shots, of opening a majority of K through 8 schools in my first 100 days in office. This is going to be the #1 priority of my new Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. Fourth, in the coming weeks, we will issue further guidance on what you can and cannot do once fully vaccinated to lessen the confusion, to keep people safe, and encourage more people to get vaccinated. And finally, fifth, and maybe most importantly, I promise I will do everything in my power. I will not relent until we beat this virus. But I need you. American people, I need you. I need every American to do their part. That's not hyperbole. I need you. I need you to get vaccinated when it's your turn and when you can find an opportunity. And to help your family, your friends, your neighbors get vaccinated as well. Because here's the point. If we do all this, if we do our part, if we do this together, by July the 4th, there's a good chance you, your families and friends will be able to get together in your backyard or in your neighborhood and have a cookout or a barbecue and celebrate Independence Day. That doesn't mean large events with lots of people together, but it does mean small groups will be able to get together. After this long, hard year, that will make this Independence Day something truly special, where we not only mark our independence as a nation, but we begin to mark our independence from this virus. But to get there, we can't let our guard down. This fight is far from over. As I told the woman in Pennsylvania, I'll tell you the truth. On July 4th, with your loved ones, is the goal. But a lot can happen. Conditions can change. The scientists have made clear that things may get worse again as new variants of the virus spread. We've got work to do to ensure that everyone has confidence in the safety and effectiveness of all 3 vaccines. So my message to you is this. Listen to Dr. Fauci, one of the most distinguished and trusted voices in the world. He's assured us the vaccines are safe. They underwent rigorous scientific review. I know they're safe.
Okay, so that is an excerpt of the speech. You can listen to the full address. They have it. It's about 23 minutes. They have the full address at MSNBC, also NBCnews.com. You could check that out. And it's the on anniversary of COVID pandemic, anniversary of coronavirus being declared as a pandemic in the U.S. So it's been 1 year since it's been declared as a pandemic in the U.S. You can watch that full address. It's 23 minutes, 55 seconds, apparently, it looks like, at MSNBC.com. Okay. And we'll post the link here. Also, we'll post a link here as well. All right. If you'd like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal. PayPal.me/TheAHNShow. PayPal.me/TheAHNShow. If you do it through PayPal, be sure to type in The AHN Show, and it'll say Michael and come up with my picture as well. We're here 6 nights a week. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. We're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. On 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF here in Detroit, and also on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. And we're on, we broadcast on Facebook and YouTube also. And then after we do our hour on 9:10 a.m., we keep going on our social media platforms for a little while longer. And we're on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. You can still register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course that I teach, and deals with thousands of years of history, and it deals with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place as well. So that's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We do the classes Tuesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do the classes live, and we record the classes as well, so you can go back and watch them over and over again. You can ask questions during the class, during the text chat. You can watch from around the world. We just posted the link here. It's also on our homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Next class is Tuesday, March 16th. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have video clips, book references, about 50 articles that I reference in the class as well. So it's regularly $130, on sale $80. You can watch the class as much as you want to for as long as you want to. All right. So visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. All right, look, we had to get out of here. At the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees products line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business, know your numbers, and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business. Encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. BlackBusinessTee.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com. Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products. Intuitive Design Clothing is an online accessory store that's one-of-a-kind signature statement pieces for men and women. They also specialize in fashion consultations, closet organization, and decorating small spaces. Are you looking for a statement piece for a special affair, or would you like to add some select pieces to your ensemble of accessories? If you're looking for something different, definitely contact Kathy Norman, owner and CEO of Intuitive Design Clothing. Visit their website, intuitivedesignClothing.com. That's intuitivedesignClothing.com, and you can email her at info@intuitivedesignClothing.com. Intuitive Design Clothing is where every entrance is a grand entrance. Have you tasted the world-famous No Frowny Brownie yet from the Pink Bakery? If not, what are you waiting for? They are vegan, gluten-free, and free of the big 8 allergens. While eating their No Frowny Brownies, the fabulous Miss Tabitha Brown said they were very good. Very good. And you know, if she says that, they are. The Pink Bakery is the first black-owned, Big 8 allergen-free baking mix company. Go to thepinkbakery.com, that's thepinkbakery.com, to order their No Frowny Brownie Mix today. Yaya Rule is a line of African print-inspired apparel catered to the black community. The pieces include t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, dresses, skirts, activewear, bags, and other accessories and home decor. This brand offers a revived way for men and women to wear their black pride and honor their African heritage anywhere at any time. This apparel line is for anyone, whether you are working in the corporate world, are an entrepreneur, or an artist. Their selection will allow you to casually let your pride shine or dress it up as wanted. It is for those who have already embraced African fabrics and for those who are just getting introduced to them. Reclaim and experience a part of our culture with rich and colorful African prints. The clothing line and the accessories are available right now